this Tuesday morning, and we're going into our second conversation. We looking at annual dam releases and protecting vulnerable Nigerians. Of course, you do know that at this time of the year, that's when the various dams, especially the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon, releases water from the reservoir, and you know what that causes: flooding across the channels. That's the Benue River flowing to join the Niger River at Lokoja, and of course the attendant flooding that follows. So we have joining us this morning retired Air Vice Marshal Akugbe Iyamu, who is the president of the Association of Environmental Protection and Climate Change Practitioners. He was the acting DG of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. Is joining us this morning to look at this issue. Good morning, Air Vice Marshal. Good to have you again.
Thank you very much. You people look very resplendent.
Yeah. Trying to be like you.
Just trying to imitate you.
Okay. So before we go, my heart goes to the family and friends, I included, of the late Inspector General of Police, Solomon Egiato Arase. May his soul rest completely with the Lord.
Amen.
Having said that, back to climate change, dam releases and everything. You see, every policy, be it climate, be it environmental, lives or die with the politics and the society which it is made. That is why truth, half-truth, is as dangerous as no truth, even zero truth. Now, our politics of climate change, environment, flooding, and all have been too much doused in the political ring. So, what do? Reality becomes very, very difficult. Now, there are two ways of defeating a war. Let me call the climate environment now a war. So you either defeat it or you starve it of resources. In the case of climate change, I don't see any of those ones in the horizon here. Take, for example, you've had 3 Director General of National Commission of Climate Change in 2 years. For policy to mature and be very effective, it has to have stability. If it does not have stability, you are just you are beating the wind. You understand? In the case of dams are very, very crucial. What is a dam? First of all, you must add, is the forceful takeover. Damming of a river is forceful. You take it so that you have a reservoir, a body of water. You forcefully take it to build up that reservoir that you are going to use to control your flooding, to deal with agriculture, to deal with electricity, and to deal with other environmental issues. And management of them tells you how good it is that you are able to coordinate all these other structures. Do you understand? So there are 117 million dams in the world performing this same function. And we have 340 of them in Nigeria. Those are very crucial. The moment you build them or you construct them, those facilities of maintenance have to be in place side by side. It's like a vehicle, you have to maintain it. So you must have your spillway and you must have the intake structures. Your spillway that will release water for agriculture, what do you call it, electricity and all. Your intake structure that have to do with the gates, the boats, everything that control you to release this water for electricity and everything. So if these things are not maintained, they become very, very critical. You see, dam is a science. It's a science that was very necessary at that time. As we go ahead, that's why I had the case of the library. I just say, knowledge is no longer going to be guided by a curriculum. It's going to be guided by curiosity, which you are already seeing now. You know, That we are still debating whether we construct a library by now. It beats some kind of imagination.
So, AVM, what are the consequences of not taking action now? Because flooding is a perennial problem in Nigeria.
Yes.
And only about a month ago,
yes,
Mokwa, we had 2 flooding incidents in nearby Niger State here. And as we speak, 200 children have not been accounted for.
Yes. You know, there's no one way of doing things. Certainly, there are very few bad ways of doing those things. Now, if you look at dam maintenance, you see, it is not now that we should be talking about our dam. When you are dealing with dam, what is very important is the weather. You have to read the weather. That's very, very, very fundamental. You have to read the weather. That weather will enable you to deal with the level of the dam when it is level. Now, modern dam have sensors. We have a Ministry of Water Resources that should be telling us what the dams are. Dams are not, they are not hidden treasures. You see them everywhere. The level indicators are there for you to see it. So we have to invest in that. What is our framework of managing these 314 dams in Nigeria? We need to have a framework for managing it. Now, here is where it gets very interesting. Now, Nigeria is now categorized in the category of China, India, what do you call it, Pakistan, and all. It's in terms of extreme weather. Extreme weather. Now, you see, during the week, you saw how the Jammu Dam ravaged Pakistan. Pakistan, they were now forced to release water. That's, if you don't do what you are supposed to do, you will be forced to do it. And when you are forced to do it, the miscalculation, the ill-conceived policies, and the mistakes will be borne by the ordinary citizens who does not have a part in your policy formulation or anything. That's the stage that we are now. Lago Dam has been there since 1982, and we've been advised to create 2 mega dams along the River Benue. It's not even as bad as on River Niger. The River Benue is very critical. That Fufude and others. Now, another way, that's where it gets very interesting. You see the wind that is rising between West Africa and Cape Verde now takes a lot of water, and that is going to be very, very consequential on monsoon rain and everything on Nigeria. Additionally, you see, last year we were dealing with flash flood and supercharged rain. Now we are dealing with cloud bursts. Cloud burst. What is a cloud burst? Cloud burst is where you have rain that is more than 10 centimeters in 1 hour. Then it is becoming dangerous when it's above 5 centimeters. And where it gets interesting for Nigeria, it is influenced by mountains. And you have those areas of Taraba, Adamawa, and all. They are all full of mountains. Look at the Himalaya in India and all. That's where the thing is very critical. So when you go around that axis, they should be prepared. The River Benue should be prepared.
All those around the Mandara.
Those are, yes, starting from Makurdi all the way down before you enter Cameroon, Adamawa, Taraba, Yobe, and all of them. You understand? So when for cloud burst, when the water rises, as it's getting up, it becomes droplets. If you notice these days, you are not having more of thunderstorm anymore, because there's a sponge in the atmosphere, natural sponge in the atmosphere that sucks this water and bring it back as rain. And that's where it becomes very, very crucial. And the Lago Dam, when it was constructed, can take a whole lot of water. Now, it's almost 1/6 of the volume of water that is able to take now. So they must spill water. They must spill water like their intake infrastructures. We don't know how strong it is now.
All right. So let me come in here, because I know that during the time when the rainy season started, we did get some warnings. I think between the last weeks or the last days in August, we saw some warnings about, high flood-prone areas. It mentioned about 198 local governments, which is across 30 states at that point. The question a lot of people would ask, what then happens in terms of, buffer for the communities? How do you move them from those spaces? And that has continued to be a reoccurring conversation year in, year out. Now, talking about the Lagdo Dam, we also know about the Oyan Dam in Osun State, which is also practically one of the issues that the communities have to deal with. The role of the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency comes into play here. How effective do you think that their roles are? Because I remember last year we were here with you on the same show talking about this dam. They released some, information that the Lagdo Dam would be flowing for about 7 days, into the waters. How then did they also make measures to protect the communities around them, which is something that you've often talked about? So do you think that the Nigerian Hydrological Service Agency is effective enough in early warning signals?
Now, you see, before you see how other people deal with their environmental issues. Now, environmental issues, they have gone beyond giving predictions. Predictions for who? For who? Now, what we're now talking about, you might not be able to stop the monsoon rain. Every 1st of June is the beginning of monsoon rain. That's why you have the low pressure wind rising between West Africa and Cape Verde. You might not be able to stop the trigger. You might not be able to stop the downpouring of rain, but you should be able to stop the destruction of life and property. Now, that's where NISA and NIMET, they come in. Now, prediction, like I said before, dams are premised on weather readings. You must continue to read the weather. Only in the rainy season. You have to be able to go into the past to be able to foreshadow the present. It's very, very important. So what you now do is that NISA should have data now, because modern dams now, they give you data. You have sensors that give you data. You have sensors that give you a whole lot of things to act. See, they say more than 17 states is going to be affected. Now, what have we done? The Mokwa issue is still there. It's still there. We have not been able to solve it. The last I heard that you were giving them 2 billion. 2 billion to do what? Then you ask yourself. If you give 2 billion to 3,000 people, what are you going to get? You're going to get 600,000. What is the cost of a keke napep now? Then to set up a barbing salon now, you know how much it is. So it will be better that we prevent the dam from doing the damage that is capable of doing, because we don't have any control about the weather. So NISA and NIMET should be very, very pragmatic. You understand? You see, this is an environment we don't respect forensics, and we don't respect wake-up calls. Otherwise, since 2012, we have had wake-up calls, and by now the nation should be awake on dam, and that's our biggest problem. That's our biggest problem, because if you look at the flooding issue now, have now bringing additional problem. Yeah. It is not responsible for forced migration. That is modern day slavery. Because when people are displaced, they migrate, and when they migrate, they go into slavery. They accept any condition that can bring them food. And this other thing again too.
And increases poverty as well.
Poverty, that is number one. If you are comfortable, you won't migrate now. So poverty is indexed in the first place. Then two, it is bringing in, it has been identified as one of the leading causes of hypertension. Because when you have all these things happening, lives and livelihood being washed away, what do you now do? You have trauma, you have depression and all. It leads to hypertension. And people are dying. People are dying. Because if we are waiting for the international community, that's not the way to go anymore. Because there have been ambiguity of policies now. According to the World Economic Forum. And this ambiguity is leading to nationally determined carbon, which is there now. So the funds are not going to, they're not going to come from there. And you see, last year alone, flood alone was accounted for 200 billion destruction across the world. So the international community now are more engaged. There's isolationism now and everything. So here we have to deal with our situation as a starting point. That dam at Fufude and the one at Numa, where the Benue and the Gongola River meet, had to be constructed. Taraba, Adamawa, Yobe and all, they have to be ready. They have to be ready because they are more on the frontline states now. I give you an example. Look at the case of Tuvalu. Tuvalu now is an island town. There are about 11,000 there. You know, all of them are moving to Australia. They are just about 2 meters above sea level. So which is the condition that apply to all these beds, the whole Sahel bed. So NIMET should have their eyes on the ball. Should have their eyes on the ball. There should be more data, more research now, because this normal prediction, let us just fulfill all righteousness, it's not going to work, because where there's mistake, where there's miscalculation, where there's bad policy, the people that bear the brunt are the innocent citizens who are already traumatized from a whole lot of things. Yes.
All right, we have to go now, but a quick word.
Yes.
And that's what I really would like you to talk about in 30 seconds. What should government do at this point in time when dams are going to release water? What should government do? Because it's not enough to warn people to say, get to higher ground. Where should they go?
They are citizens, and the responsibility of government is to care for the citizens. You have to prepare for them. Now, you already know the hazards that the water destruction takes. Okay. So there, you should form a transiting camps there now. Befitting transiting camp, not the type that we have for the 8 million that we have now. When they go there, at any point in time, because there's going to be a lot of disruption of education and all, we have enough time to plan. We have enough time to plan. Every year is a cycle. So what have we done? See, it's not the kind of planning that, because IDPs now, if you enter there, you are consigned to that place. You are consigned there. Go and look at the condition of the 8 million people who are already in the IDP camp. You will weep. You will weep. So they are vulnerable to so many things. Can't we do better? We can do better. Create camps. Like, if you see the case of Baltimore, I always like to study that situation. It was a mayor, a local government chairman, who dealt with their condition. You understand? So we can do better by creating camps for these people, a livable camps that befit the image of Nigeria.
All right, we have to go now. Thank you very much.
Yes.
AVM Akugbe Iyamu, thank you for joining us. Vice Marshal Akugbe Iyamu, retired, is the president of the Association of Environmental Protection and Climate Change Practitioners, former acting director general of the National Emergency Management Agency. He's joined us to talk about how to protect vulnerable Nigerians in advance, of course, before waters are released from the various dams that are expected. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.